a compliment to you is that you seem ready to perform, that you're not a performer who needs a ton of rehearsal because you're used to the stage per se. So tell me about the preparation for this tour.
Well, we didn't have much time because it was the US started opening up because it was closed to live music for a while. And now the theaters are reopening, and some of the places we're going to is the first time they've had a show in like 18 months, which is so wild.
Hmm.
So we just basically took what I did on my UK tour, which sold out in the UK,
Hmm.
and we're bringing it to the US. And I just had to get my US MD to translate everything over. And I only had 2 hours of rehearsal in Phoenix. I never played with these people before in my life, and we hit it. But I'm so used to it though because I've done it on cruise ships. I've done it like where you just have to come in and hit it. But when you know your show, like you good. It's like it's a package, and we're traveling around. So excited to get it to everyone. It's gonna be incredible.
When you're playing to an audience in New York, an audience of London, an audience in Branson, Missouri, an audience on a cruise ship, obviously different crowds right there per se. But is it at this point in your career that they go, hey, you got 30 minutes? You go, I got a 30 minutes. Hey, I got 2 hours. You could do 2 hours. Are you that kind of a performer?
Yeah, I'm ready because I've been doing this for a long time, and everything has kind of prepared me for this moment. Like I
Hmm.
used to work cruise ships where I would do 5 hour sets a night just singing covers, you know what I mean? But then I've also done Broadway where you have to create a story behind it. So it's kind of merging those worlds together where it's fast and furious, but also where you know how to put on a show. I was like, if I know how to do anything, I know how to put on a show, a
Yeah.
good show. So that's kind of using all my skills to create this thing. Because you hear people sing, but people actually want to hear your story and they want to relate to your story. So my story is kind of universal on all levels. We talk about mental health, we talk about divorce, we talk about,
Hmm.
going through the pandemic, talking about Black Lives Matter, but still making it accessible for everyone and still having a good time in the process, which I think is cool.
Yeah. When I was growing up, Broadway was unique in that you were either a Broadway actor or a TV actor or a film actor. You really couldn't do all three. The exception would be like stunt castings where they said, for 2 weeks only, John Stamos in Guys and Dolls. It would be that kind of stuff. And nowadays you're seeing Broadway performers make it in film and television, vice versa. They go between all of that. So in your case, Broadway is just one of the things you do.
Yeah, and you know what? When I first started out on Broadway, because I did Broadway for about 5 years, and it was very much like that, where even in the Broadway community, if you started an ensemble, you always would be ensemble, and it was really hard to switch to being a lead. And
Hmm.
then if you were a lead on Broadway, it was hard to switch to being a lead on television. Like it was just like all these, hurdles in your way. And when I moved to the UK, like so much of that thinking was taken away because it was never seen as me just being, oh, you're just a musical theater actor. And I never saw that as myself. I was like, we actually can do everything. They don't even really know what they're missing because we can sing, act, and dance. And we learn stuff really fast because we're always scared we're going to be replaced. So
Yeah.
you never have to worry about us having an attitude or not being working too hard because we've been in that theater mindset where we're like, and we got to hit it every time, every night, every moment. So even when I did my first television show, the director was like, "You don't have to be full out every time." I was like, "Yes, I do."
You used the sing, act, dance, the triple threat. People
Yeah.
say that all the time. I think that Broadway performers have a quintuple. Like you can add, they can improvise and they can
Yes.
manage a crowd. Like it's to me, it's just teachers and Broadway actors are the only people who can manage a crowd like that. So there's extra skills to what you do. But what's the long term plan? Because again, you're not being pigeonholed to Broadway per se. You've done other stuff. You can tour. A lot of people who do Broadway never make it to touring as their own person, as their own brand.
I know that was the thing. It was like becoming a brand, marketing yourself, knowing what you bring to the table, not just a role you can play or hiding behind a role. Because that's when you become really like a threat because you're like, I know who I am as a performer, but then I also can transform into whomever you want me to be. So my long term goals, like I want to be the Beyonce of Broadway. Beyonce does everything. Nobody ever says, Beyonce, you can't be in that movie. You can't do
Right.
that. Like, you know what? I'm going to do that movie. I'm going to do that perfume. I'm going to do this music. I'm going to do everything. Making yourself limitless is so important, especially being a Black woman. Like they already put so many limitations on us anyway of what we can and can't do. Like I just did the NFL game and I sang the national anthem and I had to do it from this really high height. And I was like, you know what? I've never ever really seen a curvy Black woman sing or do any kind of like stunt like that where you're like singing from a height that high because we people think we can't. So I was like, well, why don't I be the one who's breaking down these walls and stereotypes of what we can and should not do and just be myself. And that's kind of what's taken me to the next level. It's just being the most authentic version of myself and not using like bowing down to these stereotypes that people have of Black women and what we can do.
Sure. Well, another thing that I like about you, besides you breaking the barriers and being prolific and interesting, because not everybody has those traits of that, is you were on the show Feel Good, which my wife and I loved. That was one of
Yes.
our pandemic era TV discoveries per se. It's intriguing that you moved to the UK, and the show is about a person not from the UK moving to the UK to kind of make it in a way. Is that just
Yeah.
coincidence that you were on that show in
It
under
was
those circumstances?
it was just a happy coincidence. I remember when I did that self tape, I didn't even want to do it. I was like, I was due the next day. It was late in the middle of the night. And then my roommate, I was like, okay, can you help me do this? I got to turn this thing in. And I think we got drunk and we did it. And then the next day they were like, you need to meet the director on Zoom and do the scenes on Zoom, which was my first time ever doing that as well. But then I got this character who I absolutely love because it was so different from me. Because I'm like a glamour puss, like I love, glamour and nails and hair and everything. And this character was like, take no prisoners, we will fight you, been through a lot. So I just thought it was a really great challenge. And then also I got to work with Lisa Kudrow and Eve. So like Eve the rapper was like, that was my childhood. Like
Yeah,
that was
you were very frightening on that show. Anyone who hasn't seen the show, I don't want to spoil it, but like talking to you now, it's like that's the same person.
I know, I'm like so sweet and nice. And then I'm like this girl, I'm like giving her a headbutt. And then, I know everyone was like, you were so
Yeah,
mean. I was like, my mom was like, I didn't even recognize you. Like I couldn't even, she was like, that was not, she was like,
yeah.
that's when you know you good. I didn't recognize you.
To me, it's like as a big fan of professional wrestling, when you meet the bad guys in real life and you see they're the nicest people, and you realize that the good guys are the prima donnas who take a while to get ready and they don't say hi to the fans, it just makes your head spin. So,
No, it's pretty wild. But I remember a day I had just done Strictly Come Dancing, which is like Dancing with the Stars in the UK,
mhm,
and I sang on it that night before. And I had come in, and Mae Martin, who's amazing, she's the lead of the show.
yeah,
She's like, "I want to see your performance." I was like, "Okay." So I was showing her on my phone, and then Lisa Kudrow walks in. She's like, "I want to see," and I was like, "Oh my god!" And then Eve was like, "I want to see," and we're like around the table talking, and I was like, "Whoa! I have transcended what." Any expectation of what I thought I could do or what anybody else thought I could do to be in that company with those incredible women. It just
yeah.
made it seem so attainable because sometimes we feel like we are so far away from our dream, but actually it's just like right there. There's not much that separates us from them. It's just opportunity, really. So it's really cool.
Hell of a cast, as you just put it.
Yeah.
And related to that, and moving to the UK to make it per se, as a person who just reads way too much about music, I know that Jimi Hendrix had to move it to the UK to make it. The band The Stray Cats, Brian
Wow.
Setzer's band, moved to the UK to make it. A lot of people have done that rather than the moving from the UK to the US to LA, New York. Did any of the successes of other entertainers moving to the UK inspire that?
Absolutely. I've always looked at Josephine Baker, even going way, way, way back, where she like moved to Europe, and she like became the legend that we know today because of her time in Paris and France, and like doing her thing there, and the people being like, oh my god, they appreciated her instead of it being like, okay, this is like it's not a novelty because there's black women everywhere doing this. No, they like really appreciated her art. And when I came to the UK, I it was so crazy. The reaction was instant. I remember I did, and I'm telling you, for the first time, and they didn't know who I was, what, where. They thought Amber Riley was supposed to be there. It was not even supposed to be me. And
Yeah.
they stood and they were like, who is this person? And some people have actually followed me from that day and have not stopped following me since then. So it's just been like when they see something that they like, they run with it. And America is so big. There's so much choice. This is oversaturated the market. And it's sometimes it takes you being appreciated by another culture for your own culture to appreciate you, which is so crazy, but it does happen all the time. I always say I'm doing a Cynthia Erivo, but in reverse. So I went to her country, took a whole and she came back this way.
Well said. Another thing
Yeah.
that intrigues me about multifaceted performers like you is if you're talking about the rock and roll world, things seem to be they happen today, tomorrow, organic right away. And then you speak to people from the opera, the classical, and the theatrical
Yeah.
worlds, they have bookings 4 years from now.
Mhm.
Like when they were going over Pavarotti's schedule, they're like, "Oh, we want him in 2 years." This no, he's booked. In your
Yeah.
case, are there actually things booked that far in advance? And it's okay if they're not; it doesn't ruin the story.
No, it does. It is. That's why, but that's why I do like to be multifaceted because the pop music is hard. I don't even know how these kids are making a living because without the live, nobody makes money off CDs anymore. That's CD is like a T-shirt now. Like a CD is like that's like your calling card. But then the live is where you make the money. That's why when everything went down, a lot of people really was struggling. But I'm so glad that I'm multifaceted because I never have to put all my weight into one part of my career. So if something happens in the music industry where I'm not doing as well as I want to, or something happens, I got film to fall back on, or musical theater to fall back on, or what I mean, like you're just always it's just like going in circles instead of it being like, oh my god, this one thing didn't work out, so it's all over for me, but it's not. So I think that's why it's good to just think of it as entertainment industry, and like you can do everything. People always say, oh, jack of all trades, master of none, but that's not true.
No,
Like be anybody who is doing things are doing everything. Like look at Beyonce, look at Celine, look at like I mean they're all John Legend. Like he's producing, he's
yes,
doing film, he's doing like he produced Jingle Jangle, which I was in, and like he's not only so people are like, oh, he just did the music. No, he's doing the music, he's producing it, he's hiring the writers. Like it's incredible when you stop limiting yourself. You can really start making some headway. Like if you just say, I'm gonna give everything a good try and then see what sticks.
I think he's an EGOT, John
Yeah.
Legend. Yeah. I didn't know that people could be EGOTs, and then I thought about it technically, and like he produced a daytime TV show, so yeah, that
Mm,
dude's
he's
doing
an
it.
EGOT. He is an EGOT boo. And then I think he like he's producing like plays and stuff. Yeah, it's just it's incredible to just like to do it all and see. So I've just gotten into songwriting this year as well. I've been songwriting with Grammy Award winning songwriters, Toby Gad,
Oh
York
yeah,
Lawson, like who, made Britney who she was and made NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. Like
yeah.
you ever watched This Is Pop on Netflix, but he's on there with Max Martin, like him and Max Martin created what we call pop now. And I'm like learning from them. And I thought, I had thought I had the songwriting thing in me. But then when I was like, I'm just gonna give it a try. And then I was working with these guys, which I was like mind blown. And I had to kind of put that fangirl and like, that doubt in the back and was like, if they didn't want me here, I wouldn't be here. And then now I've just been writing amazing, incredible songs. And I was like, I'm a songwriter now.
Well, you
Which is
said the
so
name
cool.
Toby Gad. That is also no slouch. Did he
No.
show up to your songwriting session by bicycle?
You probably would. But we did all Zoom.
He
So
probably would. But
we had So we met over Zoom and we wrote all of our songs over Zoom, which is so incredible and crazy. But and now we finally met just only 2 weeks ago. And we're gonna write together in person for the first time. And we've been writing together for 8 months, which is
Wow.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah, he just had a role in a little band called the Black Eyed Peas, just a little tiny band there. Wow. So, to recap what we're talking about, the live stuff is happening. We see you pop up in film and TV stuff. The singer songwriter career is in the works. Anything we missed
Yeah.
there, it's fine if not.
What else is going on? Well, I'm continuing to make more headway in TV and film. I've been pitching TV shows of my own that I want to do. I'm very passionate about teaching people how to sing. So I started this IG Live series called Sing with Marisha, and it was very, very popular. And I want to turn that into like a regular series to help people find their confidence to sing or get back on the horse of singing. Because singing to me has always been like, everyone has this kind of negative energy around singing where I'm not good enough or I can't sing as good as this one. And I want to take that away because singing is so good for you mentally
Hmm.
that when we take that away, then we can use music and singing to help us, like with our mental health, with our lives. It brings families together. Like it's incredible when you get rid of the negative energy around singing and just enjoy it. So like so many people's lives were changed. Like there was like moms with like babies in their hands singing on my IG live, and they're like, I haven't sang in months. I haven't had, and now that same woman has joined a choir in her hometown, and now she takes that time to give back into herself in her own way. But it's just beautiful, and I'm excited to bring that to television, which is gonna be cool. Like take all the negativity around those talent shows and things and make it positive.
Well said. Well, my last question for you, we've already spoken about Feel Good, but do you have a recommendation for a TV show or a movie if someone needs a new show to start?
Well, it's coming into the Christmas season, so I would say watch Jingle Jangle because you can hear my voice in it. But also, it's the first all black Christmas movie that's ever been done, and it's so beautifully done. And last year, it did really well, but it's great because every year it's Christmas,
Fair.
so it's
We
coming
call
back. But
that
I would
an
say
evergreen.
it's an
Yes.
evergreen base, and I think it's going to be nominated for Grammy, so that's really exciting. So yeah, watch Jingle Jangle. It's a really really good Christmas movie, and gets us excited for Christmas.
And best places to follow you online. Any preference on the social media and the website?
Best place to follow me is marishawallace.com, and then at Marisha Wallace on all the platforms. Make sure you get my album tomorrow. It's incredible. The story of tomorrow is also amazing.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for your time and looking forward to seeing you live in New York when that time comes.
Woo! I'm excited.
Paltrocast.